Hello and welcome to a Blaseball Statistical History, a look at the New York Millennials development across the expansion era. The Millennials had a mixed bag in the discipline era, qualifying for a decent number of postseasons but seeing no championships. They fluctuated between finishing in the top 5 or the bottom 5, but they enter the new era with a decent-looking team. A longer-than-average rotation has some big pitchers, and while the lineup has more variation, there's a lot of star power to go around. In season 12, the Millennials finished 3rd in their division, but still joint 6th in the league, qualifying them for the first postseason of the era. However, they are knocked out in the wildcard round by the Shoe Thieves. They benefit from black hole weather, and see a feedback with the Fridays as they gain Nan. In the election, they opt to infuse Sandy Turner, and make a lineup change. They also recruit Uncle Plasma to their rotation, a player who debuted in the Coffee Cup. With their rotation further extended, there has been an increase in quality across both parts of the roster. And it shows in play, as the Millennials become top of their division and qualify for another postseason. However, they are once again knocked out in the wildcard round, this time by the Breath Mints. They gained 3 wins from Sun 2, but also see 2 given to their opponents. In an otherwise quiet season, 2 players take trips elsewhere. The team used this season's wills to revoke a member of their rotation and to make an exchange with the Firefighters. They unexpectedly gain an extra player from the Firefighters too, as that team revokes one of their lineup, who roams to the Millennials. The deliberate gain from the Firefighters is a great addition to the lineup. The accidental one, not so much. However, the team have removed their weakest pitcher. But these changes are not necessarily a benefit for the team, as they drop to 4th in the division and joint 12th overall. They steal 1 win from opponents, but suffer as lots of players head to elsewhere, resulting in a combined 105 days of absence. They also see the loss of Wyatt Mason 9, who they gained in the late siesta, as they become static. But there is some good news in the form of 3 parties. Wills allow an infusion and a trade with the Wild Wings, but the team also see the Flowers helping themselves to a player. The infusion means that the lineup now opens strong, and both player replacements are decent additions to the team. And the Millennials reap the benefits, moving back to the top of their division and joint 2nd in the league. Sadly, they leave the postseason in the division series, courtesy of the Moist Talkers. But the team face more dangers in season 15, as they are subject to 7 consumer attacks. Their only brush with elsewhere is the return of a player, but in the face of 5 observations, 2 of their players are redacted. Plus, there is more change, as Reverb switches up the rotation. In the election, the Millennials make the bold choice to steal consumer snack Chorby Soul from the garages, as well as a transfusion for their lead-off batter. But they are also the victim of some strategic voting by the Breath Mints, who, whilst Uncle Plasma entered their shadows to investigate disappearances, poured votes into adding them to their roster, allowing them to steal the player away. The lineup is now 2 players shorter and has suffered somewhat from the attacks, but the gap of Chorby Soul in the rotation is a hope that what they lack in playing skill they make up for by protecting the rest of the team from more consumers. It is not a good season for the Millennials, as they finish last of both division and league. They see only negative activations of both Sun 2 and Black Hole. There is another observation, but this time resulting in nothing. A positive blood rain competes with an allergic peanut reaction, but the team also attract Chorby Short, who is batted in by Mullen Peterson. They also benefit from 8 parties. But the main event this season is consumers. They mostly attack Chorby Soul, who encounters them 95 times, but after they are incinerated on day 88, the consumers branch out and snack on the rest of the team, with a further 10 attacks, 6 of which are defended against. Coming bottom of the league does entitle them to 3 wills, which they use to trade with the jazz hands, transfuse another player, and change up the rotation. The Flowers reverse a trade they did 2 seasons previously, and the Tacos want to swap players too. There are now some obvious weaknesses in both lineup and rotation, but these are still bolstered by other standout players. Season 17 has a slight improvement as the team move up in their division. They once again enter the postseason as a wildcard, but don't make it past the Fridays. The events of this season are more positive, as they see Black Hole activate in their favour, they have a positive blood rain, and 5 parties. The 3 observations they experience result in nothing, and there is very little interest in elsewhere. The only consumer attack is defended against, and there is a feedback with the breath mints. The team also see the rotation mixed up, as Fax Machine gets involved. The Millennials are granted another 3 wills, which they use to re-roll Chorby Short's Unstable mod, shorten the rotation, and make a trade with the Flowers. The Flowers trade has added a large amount of power to the rotation, and in making it shorter, the team allow for more opportunities to utilise this. However, even with that power, the Millennials can't translate it to results, and come bottom of the league again. They get wildcarded into the postseason, but are eliminated by the Crabs. A couple of players take a short trip to elsewhere, and there is a negative blood rain. But the rotation continues to be switched up by Fax Machine, and the team get 12 party time boosts. The Millennials get 3 gifts from their friends, gaining a replica of Chorby Soul, the Life of the Party modification, and increasing the soul of their players. Their 3 wills are used to alternate a player, infuse a Shadows player, and trade with the Worms. They also win 2 blessings, as their Shadows players gain caps, and a stat boost is available for 3 players. The rotation still looks stacked, but the lineup has some gaps in it. There is a slight improvement in Season 19, as the team finish 15th overall. They join the rest of the league in the seasonal reading, which makes Thomas Drakena an Undertaker. The weather is a mixed result, but there is limited time spent elsewhere. The team have a negative blood rain and another Fax Machine change, but also benefit from 7 parties. Only receiving 2 gifts this season, the Millennials become Life of the Party and gain an item. Their wills are used to move a player from rotation to lineup and to infuse a Shadows player, plus a blessing sees a stat boost for Sandy Carver. Greer Griffin is a good addition to the lineup, although maybe not in the lead-off spot. But a shorter rotation allows for more pitching time for the better players. The Millennials are on an upward trajectory, moving to 3rd in their division and 11th overall. They gain 2 wins from the weather and defend against their only consumer attack. They do face some difficulties with a negative blood rain, a reverb which alters the lineup, and elsewhere becoming popular again. But there are 6 parties to soften the blow. 4 gifts this season, granting the team soul boosts, late to the party and fireproof mods, and another item. Wills allow the Millennials to swap 2 players' positions and reverse their swap with the Worms from Season 18. But the Flowers also want to reverse a swap, this one from Season 17. 2 more blessings see players gaining modifications, as 1 player becomes negative and 3 are undefined. The team is beginning to even out in star distribution, with less standout players and more consistency. The reverb may also work out well, as their best batter now hits 4th. More improvement moves the Millennials up to 6th overall, and they enter the postseason as wildcards again. They make it out of the wildcard round, but are once again eliminated by the Crabs. The weather is favourable, Sun 2 giving them 1 win and Sun 30 giving them 5. Both Fax Machine and Voicemail make some changes, resulting in Comrade Vaughan moving in and out of the Shadows before ending up in the lineup. There are 9 trips elsewhere, 4 of which haven't ended before the season finishes, and consumers are back with 13 attacks. But luckily, only 3 are successful. There's also a party and 2 positive blood rains. In receiving 3 gifts, 1 player becomes ambitious, the whole team becomes fireproof, and they see the return of old player Uncle Plasma to the rotation. The Wills see the Mills shorten their rotation again, and also get insistent with the Flowers about making this player trade. Uncle Plasma 2 becomes negative, and the team also gain Evelton McBlaze II, who roams from the Crabs. They do lose Hatfield Suzuki to the Tigers, though. Evelton is not a strong addition to an otherwise powerful lineup. The short rotation has plenty of power, but with 2 pitchers currently elsewhere, it is a one-person team. And the Millennials struggle in season 22, as they drop back to 5th in their division and joint 13th in the league. They do qualify for the underbracket, where they make it all the way to the final, before losing in a tight-run contest to the Dalet. During the season, they gain 13 wins from the weather. Players make their returns from elsewhere, but continue to visit. There's an allergic peanut reaction, an uneventful instability, and a defended consumer attack. But there is lots of change, as fax machine activates 4 times and voicemail twice. The team also get 4 parties, but have a Shadows player reassigned to the Dalet by the Thieves Guild. This season's gifts make the team fireproof and grant them a replica from the library, who also gains an item. The election brings a reroll for 1 player and a trade with the Fridays. Blessings mean flipping players all over the place, but the team also lose a Shadows player to the Garages, whilst Nandy Fantastic becomes a subtractor and Mumro Tumblehome becomes skipping. The Millennials field a strong team going into season 23. And it shows, with big improvements putting them 2nd in their division and seeing them through to another postseason. However, they are knocked out in the division series by the Moist Talkers. Only positive weather with 10 additional wins, and further good news as elsewhere is less attractive. Only 4 players take trips, and the longest is just 12 days. Fax machine and voicemail continue to make changes, and there is a negative blood rain, but all 3 unstable players make it safely to the end of the season. The late siesta means 3 more gifts, as 1 player becomes ambitious, the team is late to the party, and several items gain the A-dense element. In the election, the Millennials choose the roamless party favour, and join the rest of the league in becoming under review. They win a blessing, and receive the literal arm cannon, but also bid another Shadows player farewell to the Tacos. Following the semi-centennial, the team also gain a player from the Rising Stars. Entering the final season of the era, the Millennials remain a strong and consistent team. But in the chaos of season 24, they get a little lost. They finish 5th in their new division of the Vault and 10th of the 24 ILB teams. They gain 4 wins from Sun 30 before it is nullified. There is some change, as voicemail activates twice, and the Thieves Guild steals 4 shadow players away. There are also 12 consumer attacks, and this results in a redaction. And to top it all off, a negative blood rain. In season 24, the Millennials begin by heading for the Hall, but end up making a dash for the Vault, not quite reaching it before the season's end. In the expansion era, the Millennials faced 1 incineration, 2 feedbacks and 2 reverbs, alongside 46 parties. They had 2 allergic peanut reactions. Blood Rain was net neutral with 5 of each. Black Hole was good with 11 positive activations to 3 negative, but Sun 2 had 7 positive to 9 negative. They had no shellings and 4 instabilities, but they also had 9 observations and 3 redactions, both of which are the highest amount in mild high. There were no night shifts, but 8 voicemails and 10 fax machines meant plenty of change. The Thieves Guild stole 5 Shadows players and returned none, meaning the most player losses in the division. Their players took 39 trips elsewhere, with the longest stay being 98 days. They gained 25 wins from Sun 30, but also faced 140 consumer attacks. Their Arcana the Lover appeared in 1 seasonal reading. They received 18 gifts, were granted 25 wills, and won 10 blessings. They played in 7 postseasons, the most in their division, with 3 of these as wildcard. They also made 1 underbracket appearance. At the end of the era, the Millennials have a strong team, which plays well together, but which has yet to gain a coveted championship. Thank you for joining me for another Blexplanation. I'll be back with more Blaseball fun and facts soon, but until then, rejoice, play ball.